Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that likes live theater far more than it likes live actors. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth from Fantasy Flight Games. In Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth, 1 to 5 players take on the various inhabitants of Middle-earth as they attempt to go on a grand campaign adventure. This game utilizes an app. It's very similar in that sense to Fantasy Flight's other game, Mansions of Madness. Essentially, the app is going to tell you which campaign you're going to select, which just comes with you just get one campaign with the base game. And you go ahead and you select which characters you're going to play. You're going to have choices as far as what kind of items they're going to carry with them, what weapons. You're going to select all of that stuff right at the beginning of the game. The game's also going to tell you, the app rather, is going to tell you to lay down a tile to start with, or maybe a couple of tiles to start with, and that will begin the game process. Now, there are many, many decks of cards in this game. There's, of course, the various item decks that you're going to have and things like that, but each character is going to have their own specific deck that's made up from different things. You're each going to get a number of basic cards. These are just basic cards everybody has. They all do the same things. But you're also going to get a number of cards to your specific character. So if you're Bilbo, you're going to get, a number of Bilbo cards. If you're Aragorn, you're going to get a number of Aragorn cards. If you are Gimli, a number of Gimli cards, etc., etc., etc. But then to further add variety, you're going to have specific roles in this game. You're going to have like the captain or the burglar. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to take a number of cards from those role decks as well. So you're going to shuffle all of these together, the basic cards, the character cards, and the role cards, to create your own special deck. Now, during the game, you're going to have your player sheet. Now, your player sheet is, of course, going to have your stats on it, and it's also going to have some other information you may need, like your hit points for both physical damage and fear. You're going to take some cards from your deck and equip them, essentially place them beneath your card, and you can use those throughout the game whenever you want to. They're prepared, essentially, and then, of course, you've also got your item cards above your player sheet as well. Now, the game plays out in a number of rounds. Essentially, you start out with the action round. One of the actions you take is to move. You can move up to 2 spaces. Now, as you're exploring the map, if you move into a new map tile that hasn't been explored, you explore it. That means you take the exploration token from the center, you flip it, and it becomes an inspiration token. More on that later. But it's also going to tell you, the app will tell you what other things you're going to find on that tile, like monsters or search tokens, things you can look at, things you can interact with. You can attack monsters. Essentially, you can go ahead and try to attack a monster you find there using a skill check, and more on that later. And then finally, of course, you can interact with various tokens. You do that by accessing the token or the item on the map, and that will tell you exactly how you're going to interact with it and whether or not you have a skill test. So these skill tests are very important. You attack through skill tests, you interact with things during skill tests. At various times you may have other skill tests pop up. These skills are very much like the skills in Mansions of Madness and the Cthulhu-themed games. But here you don't roll the dice. Rather, here what you do is you look at your stats, and whatever stat it tells you to test, you draw that number of cards from your own specific deck, and you're looking for the little success tokens. If you get the success token, you pass it, unless it says you need more than one success token, in which case you draw them all to find that you have enough success tokens. You may also draw cards that have kind of inspiration symbols on them. If you have a card that has an inspiration symbol, you can spend an inspiration token, and that will give you a success as well. Mixed into your deck, also though, you do have kind of these weakness cards, and there's lots of different pictures and lots of different things that says specifically what they are, but they don't matter. They're just cards in your hand that don't do anything, that just take up space and prevent you from getting those successes. Next, you have the Shadow Phase. Now, the Shadow Phase, of course, you have to activate the app to tell it you're in the Shadow Phase. Once you're in the Shadow Phase, essentially the monsters and the bad things around Middle-earth begin to move. They will move monsters that will move toward you and attack you. You may spawn new monsters. You may also do lots of other kooky things that occur during this time. Now, critically, when the monsters are fighting you, they're going to come at you, and you can try to negate damage they give you, but you may just have to take it if you can't get the successes you need. Finally, you have the Rally Phase. Now, during the Rally Phase, essentially take all your discarded cards from your deck and the cards you haven't used yet. You shuffle them together, and it'll say Scout. Scout 2, Scout 3. You take that number of cards, and you look at them, and you can prepare them, placing them beneath your player board for use during the round, or you can put them back on the top or on the bottom in any order. So you can gives you a way to kind of mitigate your luck a little bit with that scouting. There's other cards and actions that will allow you to scout further ahead, so you can look at more cards and do that during the game as well. So you're going around and around, and you're trying to find, you're following the story that you get from the app. And depending on whether you succeed or fail, it's going to change the next mission somewhat. So it's going to change things up as you're moving through the mission. Now, in addition to these missions where you are exploring the different tiles, there's also missions where you're on just kind of battle boards. And essentially these are just fight and attack and try to accomplish your goal here to kill the enemy or enemies that you have to get. So that is essentially the game. You're playing through each scenario that's building in this campaign. Depending on whether you succeed or fail, it's going to change. It's going to branch in different ways. Maybe give you advantages or disadvantages in the next scenario, or change things in other subtle ways. And it is very different when you go those different paths. But you've got the different scenarios. You can beat the different scenarios depending on what the app says and how you beat it. And then you go all the way to the last game in the campaign. And if you can go ahead and beat that, then you win Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle-earth. So Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle-earth, of course, is a game that it's very similar to Mansions of Madness on a lot of levels. That app is driving it just like it drives Mansions of Madness. I'm just going to tell you right now, I think I gravitate more toward the Mansions of Madness because I like the dice rolling and I like the theme. I don't get me wrong, I love Lord of the Rings theme, but I just really like the horror theme of Lovecraft, and I love Lovecraft stories. I read them all. Here, what I do like a lot about Lord of the Rings game is I like the card thing. Now, I miss rolling dice. I love to roll dice, but I do like this card system. It's very interesting. I like how you can scout, and you can kind of, it's not all luck because you can do the scouting and you try to kind of mitigate it a little bit, and then you've got other little cards that can help you, mitigate your luck. I like that. I like the fact that you got the inspiration tokens where you can draw cards that will let you spend that, and there's the tough choice there. Do I spend this or do I hang on to it? Do I need the success now or am I going to need it later? I like that as well. I think that's very well done. Generally speaking, I like the exploration missions more than the attack missions, than the battle board missions. I just think there's more flavor, more fun. I like this discovery. I like that sense of discovery. That's one of the reasons why I love Mansions of Madness so much, and I like that about this here too. The game, generally speaking, is fun. It's interesting. It's a very good story-driven game that provides a lot of choices for the players, and I like that a lot too. It's a beautiful game. Components are absolutely first-rate. I do have a couple of criticisms. First of all, there's only one scenario with the base game. There's only one campaign with the base game. I wish there had been more options there. And not only do I wish there had been more campaigns with the base game, I wish there were standalone scenarios. I wish this wasn't just a campaign game. To me, this game really needs, and hopefully they'll come out with some when they update the apps, it just needs some standalone battles, maybe that change subtly every time you play it, but basically are similar. But it would be nice to have that in here somehow. You're not always in the mood to continue the same story as you were. And I've got to be blunt, I've only played this game solo so far. I haven't played it with other people, but I've enjoyed it quite a bit. And I really enjoy playing Mansions of Madness solo, too. It's one of the few games I really enjoy playing solo, and I can see myself playing this one solo quite a bit as well. There's a lot of little rules here that Fantasy Flight's known for. It's got the Learn to Play booklet and then the rules explanation booklet. So a lot of little exceptions and rules, and there's a lot of looking in the rule book here as well. But you expect that going into a game like this. Generally speaking, I really enjoyed this one. I had fun with it. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you're really going to enjoy it too. Now, here's the big question. If you have Mansions of Madness, do you need Journeys to Middle-earth? And what it comes down to for me is, are they different enough, right? What it comes down to for me is really theme. Which theme do you prefer? Do you like Mansions of Madness? Do you like Cthulhu? Or do you like Lord of the Rings? I like Mansions of Madness. Now, Fantasy Flight did not send me this copy. I actually had some gift certificates, and I got it with these gift certificates I got for my birthday. And I really, I could see myself keeping both of these and playing both of these. I'll probably play Mansions of Madness more, but I can see myself coming back to Lord of the Rings because I do like it. It's fun, and it's different enough that I like it. But I think for most people, because of the price point here, you may want to pick or choose. And again, it's theme. Do you like the Mansions of Madness theme, or do you like the Lord of the Rings theme? And that's the one you should get. But all that being said, everything being equal, let me just say the recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle-earth is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, ladies and gentlemen, and can you imagine if Gandalf the White and Obi-Wan Kenobi got into a fight? Who would win? I don't know, but I'd pay to see that movie.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
You went on a peace-spreading mission invading the North, taking out House Stark, and then somebody moved against you, and suddenly it's like, what? I never hurt nobody.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Say what you're going to tell me something very important.
Okay, so I want to get this on camera.
Okay.
At this point in the game, I would like to offer a peace between our tribes.
The House Greyjoy and House Lannister?
Both the House Lannister and House Greyjoy. In the hopes that we can support each other in future endeavors, increase our longevity in the game, and bring peace.
I was totally going to screw you over, but your articulation of our shared goals and aims makes me think that I can trust you. Stan, you and I are on the same page, my friend. Do you know who I fear? That sumbitch. That's who I'm afraid of.
And your enemy is my enemy.
Okay.
So I will help you out if you promise.
I will not incur on any Greyjoy territory.
Okay.
Very good.
And that's on tape.